creativity isn't about generating new ideas. It's about extracting more from the idea or the topic that's sitting in front of you. And so in today's video, I want to answer a very specific question because this is a big problem that I see a lot of creators going through, is that they'll literally just use up an idea and discard it and move on to the next because they believe they need something novel. And then once they get something novel, they can't actually explain it in depth. And so they need the script, they need the teleprompter, they need the notes and all this other stuff to make sure that they're on track with their thinking, but then they come across differently. They're not genuine or authentic, right? So it's like, we want to be able to sit in front of the camera, think about our idea, like have a core direction that we're moving in, and then also be able to explain those at depth. And so this is my whole ideology, and this is what I want to sort of display to you today, is that this is my idea process, and this is my idea engine. And so the key question we're going to answer today is that why do I have so many ideas but nothing meaningful to say about them? And this is sort of going into, like, we're going to pull in AI as like the culprit, okay? Because AI can generate us a ton of ideas, a ton of different topics about, experiences within our life or new learnings. But the thing is that AI, we're sort of outsourcing the thinking to it. And so it can generate the ideas and we can have the direction of the video, but when we try to elaborate on those topics, we don't have the depth to go deeper into it. And so later in this video, I'm going to share my sort of idea engine and how I go about capturing that depth so I can elaborate live on camera without a teleprompter or script. Okay, it's one of the most powerful things that I've developed because it allows me to understand complex ideas and be able to translate them into easy to understand processes or ways of thinking. And you can use these in your content journey because I for sure find them valuable, and I think you will too. And I'll start here because sometimes we think that we're completely out of topics or things to talk about or videos to create. And then sometimes you'll just copy someone else's video, which again, you're copying their video so you don't have the depth to actually say what they know, because you never lived or experienced it yourself and you never learned what they learned. And so you're trying to talk about a topic that you don't know at depth. And so that causes that resistance between you and the execution. And then you come off robotic when you talk on camera. And so the depth comes from ideas that you generated or things that you know deeply, okay? And so this sort of leads me to like the actual process of the depth accumulation. Like, how do we actually accumulate depth? Every single topic or idea that you have contains multiple different videos in it. It's like the spiderweb effect. And the way this works is that, let's just say you have a learning or an experience or something happened, okay? And so that thing happened and you can go into, that's the what, okay? What happened? And then you can ask, why did this happen? How did this happen? When did this happen? What were the mistakes that I made? What was the learnings or findings that, accumulated for that transformation or for that event? And I'll give you an example. So 4 days ago, I closed a consulting client through email. And this event opens up a plethora of other questions that we can answer through YouTube videos. So it's like, how was I able to build enough trust to close them without a sales call? Why did they trust me enough? And what was the objections that I had to handle? What were the mistakes that I made throughout that process? What was the belief that I had going into that before? And then why am I able to actually believe that I can close without sales calls? So that's a whole nother transformation, right? It's like you can uncover so many different things from one event that happened. Because of that event that you understand deeply, the other things, the other topics that now get created, you can still go deeper in them because you lived it. It's a lived experience. You understand it. And so you're able to elaborate on camera for those events at a deeper level. And so if you copy this idea from AI or from another creator, you don't have that built-in depth or understanding that allows you to go deeper into those ideas. And so the whole goal is to be able to sit down about a really great topic that we can teach our audience about and still elaborate on it without the script so we can come off organically and just speak to it naturally. And so an event that you experience contains the what, the how, the why, the objections, the mistakes, the learnings, right? So those are 5, 6 different other ideas from one thing that we actually have that banked, inherent depth into it. And so now that we know that we can generate, so many different ideas that we actually have, an understanding, it's like, how do we build depth on new, novel ideas? This was something that I struggled with throughout my journey right now, is that, I wanted to talk about new topics, but I didn't have that depth. I didn't have the lived experience. And so how was I able to manufacture or build that depth on a complex topic quickly so I understood it and could display it on camera? And so my process is sort of an alternate version of the Feynman technique. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Feynman technique. I think I mentioned it in a previous video. And basically what I do, I'll just go over my process. I'll research a topic and then I develop a question for that topic. And arguably the question is way more important than the answers, right? Because like the answers sit downstream of the question. And so I develop the question and I have the topic, and then I write every single thing that I know about that topic to try and answer the question. And so I'll sit down, write out everything. And writing is like the mechanism or the action in which we can better understand, complex topics or just topics in general. And so I'll write out everything that I know until I arrive at the why. It's like, why is this thing happening? Why is this thing occurring? Why does this exist? And so next I'll use AI to do the research for me to answer that question. I'm only using AI to do research. I'm not having it think for me. I'm literally bringing up the sources so that I can, click on the sources and answer the question. Right? So I'm deliberately looking at the sources with a filter because I only want to answer the why. And so once I do that, looking at the sources, I have the why, I write it out, I'll then rewrite my understanding of what I know to be true. And then once I do that, I figure out that, okay, I can write all of this, I remember it, but maybe sometimes I don't remember something, and so I have to go back to the source and continue writing, okay? And then from there, I'll get rid of the paper and I'll just talk to myself or someone, and I try to teach it at a 5th grade level. And this is the biggest hack for your understanding, is when your ability to teach complex ideas at a simplified level, you understand it better. And once you can do that, you can speak to that new topic on camera. Now, this is so important to me because I want to be the best at creating videos without a teleprompter or script. I want to be able to talk and be myself and pretend that we're sitting across from each other and just relaying some great insights and findings on specific topics that I translated into an easy to understand way. I have an idea engine that I'll send you. It will be the first link in the description. It's basically my way of putting all of this on paper. It's the modified Feynman technique, and then how I go about actually researching these topics so that I can understand them better. But the most productive sources for your ideas that have that depth are going to be within your own experience. What did your own business? What did clients say? What mistakes did they make? What mistakes did you make? How did you overcome it? Right? So you have all of these things that you can go deeper on within your topics and your video ideas to make it a stronger video. Hopefully this is helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.